One of the reviews you wanted to see is the new Kia XCeed, or XCeed if you want to play with that name a little bit. This is the crossover version of the Kia Ceed. Same platform, but a lot of different parts. Actually, only the front doors are 100% identical. Exterior, interior and the driving experience. Here today in Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas. Please enjoy everything of that in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! Well, here in the front of the Kia XCeed, you can see you have this silver meshed grille and also silver accentuations in the lower part. It does remind us of the Ceed, but it still has an own styling. Here's these curved headlamps. They come with LED as standard in this version. You can see here the front hood is split to have this as a separate element there, and then the hood. Quantum yellow is the color for today, a very unique color definitely. It looks some more golden, and especially in evening sunlight, for example, with not too harsh light, then it really has a golden nuance, so very interesting. The XCeed is a little bit longer, a little bit higher and also a little bit wider than the normal Ceed. However, they use the same platform, as I said, also the same wheelbase and so on. But again, the exterior, overhangs, dimension and so on, a little bit different. But overall, of course, not too different from the basic concept. Crossover style. Do you like that idea? See also this plastic cladding here. This is typical for this off-roadish look, and it will also continue all over the vehicle. 4.39 m, 14'4" or 173 inches is the length of the Kia XCeed. And you can see here this plastic crossover wheel arches, together in this case here with 18-inch wheels. It's an option. You can also go with 16-inch wheels. Depends on what is more important to you, a softer ride or the greater visual factor. So you can decide that on your own. Then we have the chrome window frames and also a bright roof rail right there. For the keyless entry, you press this black button right there. Crossover cladding also in the lower part and also at the rear. So, and especially really this falling roof line, it's not too dramatic, but gives the car some elegance and also a strong shoulder line right there. So overall, a very interesting design, gives a little bit more spice if you compare it to the normal Ceed. A very interesting rear design as well, with this special XCeed logo, then pretty slim tail lamps with an interesting LED signature. Then the lower end again has the silver contrast, but these are pure fake exhaust. The real exhaust is underneath, but I think the design is still quite fresh. What's your take? As engines, you have a 1-liter petrol engine with 120 horsepower. This one here, the 1.4 liter with 140 horsepower. Then there's a 1.6 liter with 204 horsepower. They're all turbocharged, and the bigger ones also have a 7-speed DCT optional. And then there's also diesel 1.6 liter with 115 or with 136 horsepower. And new also that the 1.6 petrol can be combined with a plug-in hybrid version and with 141 horsepower system output. That will also be quite exciting. Let's first hear this door closing sound. This sounds very solid, cool. Then the interior, soft touch here at the inside of the doors, also leather red and the inside there, so good build quality. Everything very solid here. Memory seat with 2 saving spots, XCeed floor mats, aluminum pedals. You can get pure fabric seats or these fabric leather red mix, so the red on the outside, fabric on the inside. Here also with a special edition, belongs to the launch model as well, with this honeycomb style structure with the contrast stitches, and this is indeed fabric. It doesn't look like it, but it is actually. So a very fancy, unique setup. Finally someone is daring. I mean, it's really cool. I think you have to like it, definitely, also color wise. Maybe yellow is not my favorite color, but this yellow fits of course to the exterior color. And Thomas B, our other Thomas here, cameraman, will really love that, because these are the colors of his favorite football club, Borussia Dortmund. And all other Dortmund fans will probably love that color setup as well. So let's get inside, of course, with the shoe tab here today. And the real cool thing here is that we have a, let's say, luxury feature inbuilt, which is usually not for the segment here. You can see when I shut down the ignition and open the door, then the seat goes backward, and when I flash it here again, then the seat goes forward. It's really easier for the entry and so on. Yeah, you have these beeping sounds all over the place when you have the open door and also the ignition is on. This is a little bit annoying, definitely, but a very cool luxury or comfort feature right there. So now I hit the ignition again, now the beeping is gone. Yeah, can be pretty annoying. Then steering wheel can be controlled manually, up and down, in and out. Everything feels and looks very solid, so pretty satisfied with that. As for the maximum headroom, I'm 1.86 or 6'1". If I put the seat all the way down, there's still plenty of headroom left. I tend to put it a little bit higher so they have a better angle, you know, so it's not falling backwards. I think it's a very comfortable seating position. These fabric seats here stay cool in summer and they are also not too cold in winter. So that's definitely a good choice, and also visual-wise, as I said, very attractive. Again, you have to like the yellow color. I would wish that there would maybe be like different colors. For example, you can also pick like a blue stitching or something. That would be maybe something for the future. Pretty cool. So overall, good feeling overall, and you sit 4 centimeters higher or 1.5 inches higher than in a normal seat, so that gives you a little bit more, you know, elaborated seating position, a little bit more comfort, and I think it works very well. Interior overview, again, good quality materials, soft touch at the top part here, top infotainment system and digital instruments, soon more to that. This part here is also soft touch, separate climate unit still, very easy to control and to see. Heated steering wheel function or heated seat, so straightforward in design. This is what the Golf used to be, and it seems to be that the Kia Ceed somehow takes the place of the Golf as, let's say, you know, the straightforward to use vehicle. Pretty interesting. Manual gearbox here today. There's also a DCT optional. The lower part here has an inductive charging platform, top part here, but you can, well, usually would put in the cable to use the Apple CarPlay, as you can see here. Then lower part with the USB device and more 12-volt power supply, and another USB charging device just for charging. You can also close that if you like. More in the lower part, adaptive cup holders, electric park and brake, and some more space underneath here. Reasonable under the armrest, and the armrest also very well fixed. By the way, this part here and the top is also again soft touch, so everything with the straightforward and good in build quality. Steering wheel, right side for the cruise control, for example, and control something of the digital instruments. Left side mainly for the volume and picking up the phone. And with the digital instruments, you would start analog, and then with a 3.5-inch screen in the middle. Optional then a 4.2-inch screen, a little bit bigger in the middle. And then these are the full digital instruments, 12.3-inch. And on the right side here, you would start with a 5-inch screen. Then there's a bigger one available with 8-inch. That would also include then the Apple CarPlay already. And this is the optional 10.25-inch screen. Is it really necessary? Not exactly. If you mainly use CarPlay, then you'll also be fine with the 8-inch one. And the digital instruments, quite fancy indeed. You can have some digital speedometer or the consumption infos right there. You can also have some GPS input, but it does, or the assistance systems, but even the GPS input, it will not look like that you have the whole screen with digital map. And then in this case, I think you can also just go with the base instrument. I mean, it's cool, it's fancy, but also not a must-have option. And then let's go with this screen. You can see here you have this home menu, for example, for the map, Apple CarPlay, weather, then you have apps like this. Yeah, you can get along with that. You also have hotkeys here in the lower part. If you want to jump to the setup, for example, like this is possible, but you can also use it right here. Then go back right there. This is then the map. You can browse in it, but they still have this strange function where they keep this. I still don't get it why they use this thing there. I don't know, but at least you can zoom and pinch. And when you use here the right side, tune the knob. You can also zoom in and out while driving, for example. But it's not the most convincing one. Most of the time, probably I would still go with the Apple CarPlay. That is the way. Why can I? Huh? Okay, I mean, why doesn't this one get bigger then, you know? I have to go back to the main screen and then do it like this. Yeah, I don't know. Like this. And you can of course use the maps yourself. This one here does have the optional Jbl Sound System, and it's actually quite decent, so I also like to listen to the music right here. You have to turn down the bass a little bit because this Jbl Sound System is so bass intensive. And funny thing is, all the manufacturers, when they hand out test vehicles, they put the bass like on +7, +8 because they think, oh, everyone thinks our sound system is cooler and sounds richer then. But no, good sound system is not only about the bass, it's about the clarity in the sound. So you can't fool us. We always check the equalizers before testing the sound systems, guys. So, yeah, I mean, pretty fancy to have the bigger screen. But again, I think you can also save the money and go for the smaller one if you primarily use the CarPlay or the Android Auto. And I also want to show the rear view camera. Let's put it in the reverse gear. Good resolution, also the helping light adapt when the car is on. And then you also have this beepers here additionally. Yes, the front seat is in a position where it's forward and not backward due to this comfort feature. And still that does not leave us so much legroom. It does somehow work for 4 tall Ls, but when I'm driving in the front, you see I do hit the front seat with my knees already. It's not too bad because it's a soft background. Headroom wise, that's no problem. Still some space left. By the way, hard pack at the rear doors. I think we can live with that as for the price performance ratio. You can optionally also go for rear seat heating. That's pretty fancy. And well, besides that we don't have too much legroom, the seating position itself is also quite comfortable here in the rear. Then we have ISOFIX at the outside parts of the seats. We do flip the seats from here already in a 1/3, 2/3 split. Here we also have some cup holders which are non-adaptive, and there's also a ski hatch possibility then if you just want to load things through in the middle part. No chargers here in the middles, just another AC unit, but it's not really controllable, just open and close. So this is awesome. Introduced with the Hyundai Tucson in 2015, I think. See here, I just approached the vehicle from the rear with the key in my pocket and tada, it opens itself even without a foot kick opening mechanism. That's really awesome. So great to have that function. A lot of space underneath. You could also fit a replacement tire. Some measurements right here. The length is at 85 centimeters. Width below the cover 37. And then the length with seats flipped to where I would be seating. This is 1.56 meters. And luggage inside, you can see that also in a vertical way, well, barely. So let's see if that closes here with the electric hatch. It should. Let's see. Yeah, it does. So barely fits. So that's pretty close, but good that we can show that to you like this. And click in the, this way here. 12-volt power supply is also inbuilt in the rear. You cannot flip the seats from here, but you have to go around then. And let me just show the full setup. Car's still closed. Here we are when I also flip the other side. Hey, what's up? Joining us here for Thomas's driving lounge in the Kia XCeed. Or X-Ceed, however you pronounce it. So the 1.4 liter turbo petrol engine in this case with 140 horsepower. We're also going to talk about the general driving features of this vehicle. And let me start with a, let's say, general assessment. This car really sets also some kind of a standard. So something we usually say, for example, from Volkswagen Golf in this segment, this one here also has so many different aspects where you can say, yeah, this is how it's supposed to be, and judging on that level, we can say this or this competitor vehicle is better or worse in certain aspects. But here, so to say, you drive it and control everything and, do your stuff with steering, shifting, and so on, and feeling suspension, and you say like, pretty much everything is just right, you know. So there's nothing we can really, you know, say like, oh, have to massively improve this or that. There are some improvements you could do. Going to talk about that. But the basic impression is just very, very solid, very good. So also a comparison here, the XCeed to the normal seat. Yeah, you sit a little, like seat with C and seat. We're sitting on, is always funny. But indeed, the XCeed to seat is a difference in the seat. Yeah, I hope you got that now. So yeah, I think they are sitting 4 centimeters higher or 1.5 inches higher. Talked about that earlier. It's also somewhat a more, you know, there's a cozier driving feeling, a little bit more relaxed. The suspension is also not too stiff, so it's a good compromise between sportiness and comfort. So it's not too shaky or something. It is, you know, crisp enough, but it's also not harsh that you would feel every bump on the road or so. So I think found a good setup here. They do not offer an adaptive suspension. That's not available. Yet again, you don't have to pay anything extra then for any suspension. I think you can be happy with the normal suspension here. The sport models, the GT, for example, the Ceed GT, that one could use an adaptive suspension that there's more, you know, span between comfort and sportiness. But here the, let's say, non-sport models, I think you're just fine with the normal suspension here as well. The steering wheel is set up in a direct way, so you don't have to steer that much. You have a good feeling. There's no dead zone whatsoever. Noise insulation here at lower speeds is absolutely fine. We'll soon also approach the motorway and see what about noise insulation there. Quality of materials, talked about that earlier, is also very good. So what you feel and control, everything from the input is also very solid. And you have an overall good and cozy, safe feeling in the vehicle. Some of the safety equipment is standard, most of that is optional. We're going to talk about the lane assist when we're on the motorway very soon. We also have the blind spot monitor in here, which we can also show you on the motorway very soon as well. Shifting wise, it's very easy to shift, quite long the shifting lever, but the wheels click in a very satisfying way, and they also don't have much resistance. Yet again, not totally free floating, so I think they also found a good solution right there. The optional dual clutch transmission would be good for, you know, more relaxation in traffic and so on, that you don't have to give it so much clutch. Yeah, I mean, in the first gear when starting, you have to use quite a lot of clutch or quite a lot of gas, so you don't stall it. You have to get used to that. That's different from vehicle to vehicle. Then in the higher gears, this is not such a problem anymore, but you definitely get used to it. So you can buy this one as a manual gearbox. You know, won't be that bad, not at all. Of course, again, automatic transmission always gives you a little bit more driving comfort. Suspension, again, yeah, I mean, if you would have an adaptive suspension, it would bring you more comfort, I think. So suspension-wise, again, all good, but not that I would say it has the best suspension in segment. That's maybe something they could still improve. And as I said earlier, with this vehicle, you really have to search for things where you could suggest them to still improve things. Most of the other stuff is really already very well done. As for fuel economy, you can score some realistic figures of 7 liters on 100 kilometers or 34 mpg US, 41 mpg UK. A little bit worse, so a little bit less mpg, or a little bit like 7.5 liters on 100 kilometers. When you are driving a little bit faster on the motorway, who would do that? Or when you drive a little more city traffic and so on. So that depends. Yeah, not the best fuel economy, but also not the worst. So that's somehow also standard, so to say. This could be a little bit better. Everything else, really very cool. And one thing I like best is the straightforward design of the commands. So when I want to activate the seat heating or the steering wheel heating, This is so easily done, you know, with the separate buttons. And again, yes, thank you so much that we still have separate buttons here. And I don't want to do everything with the touchscreen, even though we have, you know, already year 2020 now. This is not really necessary, not really, you know, not that useful, you know. Bought this engine here, 1.4 not TSI, GDI, TGDI turbo. So we now can do some, well, that's a little bit of trick. Like, let me get out this working zone here first, so I can show you then something of the acceleration. This engine version here, I think I would not go for a weaker one, because then when you need to do some like acceleration on the motorway, it can be maybe a little bit too weak. The stronger one will be a little bit more fun and can be a little bit handier in some situations, yes. This one is somehow sufficient, but especially, you know, when being in first gear or when starting overtaking maneuvers on the motorway, sometimes I was thinking, yeah, a little bit more punch would be nice, you know. Again, still okay, but I would not go for the weaker version. Then, I mean, and I was driving alone and without luggage and so on. Yeah, but if the engine would be way weaker, then there's like a version below that. I think then you should at least go for this one here. So here on the motorway, first at 80 kilometers an hour, so like 45 miles. Still reasonable. As for the noise insulation, we can also put in the 6th gear then. This is rather than for rolling and keeping the fuel consumption low. In this case, we only have the normal cruise control in this very test vehicle here. You can activate it here at the steering wheel then. But it's doing also a good job. Adaptive cruise control is always a nice option, of course. The blind spot monitor I can soon show you when someone is next to us. But here again, also from the rolling noise you hear, I think they've done a good job here. And since we have this X-Ceed model, which sits a little bit higher, I also have the feeling that I have better overview. There is a small rear window, but since it's very well in the line of sight with the normal back mirror, I can see very well who's behind us, you know, so it's no problem. The A pillar is quite flat, and the B pillar is quite thick. So yes, the blind spot monitor is something you should go for, definitely, to even out this, you know, thing from the from this big B pillar. So that would be definitely coming handy. As for the lane keeping assist, by the way, so it activates itself after startup, and also activates itself when, you know, shut down the vehicle and start it again, even though you have turned it off. Yeah, what about that? So we'll stay a little bit more on the motorway because we had this working zone here so far. I want to get out of the working zone still. And at the moment here, when there's like this white line and the yellow line, the lane keep, now it's sitting in again, now. But it has obviously some kind of a problem when there's not like a white line on both sides. The good thing is, if it's annoying you, then you can turn it off at any time. Here, for example, and now it's not activated. I think soon we have it activated again, and I can show you, because I mean it does keep you in the lane actively. So now still blinking. Come on, now it's there. So, and now you can see here, don't do this at home. So this is then to show you that the car is keeping us in the lane. Here then count the steering a little bit, but also tells me don't lose grip of the steering wheel. Yeah, there we go. So I think it's a good system. Sometimes it can be a little bit annoying when the lanes are very narrow, and you know, so it's not the worst, also not the best configuration I found with lane keeping assist. But the cool thing is really, and you hardly have that nowadays anymore, you can deactivate it just with one button here at the left side. And that's again about this vehicle. So easy and straightforward to use. I really love that. That's so cool. Wait a minute. That's an XCeed as well, in grey. That's funny. I mean, it's a quite new vehicle. I think I have never seen it on the like a customer vehicle on the roads yet. And now, just when we're filming this one, we see one. That's quite funny. Yeah, why not? That one also has the panoramic roof. I see it open, by the way, so there's this option as well. We do not have that option, so we have it closed, a little bit, black and so on. But what I also want to say is that everything feels quite cozy. So seating position is really good. I don't experience any back pain also when you're driving like a longer way and so on. So when I'm really thinking about which of the normal compact vehicles to recommend, these put-up versions, these crossover versions are again good for comfort, and they don't change the driving characteristics that majorly if you compare it to the other ones. A little bit like, for example, Golf and T-Roc. But I would say between Golf and T-Roc, the distance is greater than between Ceed and XCeed, for example, But I really have to say, this is a very, very good compact vehicle, and the driving part just really stressing that. The digital instruments we have here are also very interesting. Is it a must-have? Not necessarily, because you cannot put the real GPS map in there. So yeah, I could also live with a smaller screen that would. Yeah, that's happening sometimes. So I was approaching the traveler and I was not really stalling the engine, but the start-stop function went on, and then the engine was stalled by the car itself for a moment. That's a little bit, unpleasing. Happened quite a lot of times. Maybe better with the automatic transmission. So now, before we're going all the way down in 50, third gear. Third gear is not really proper for 50. So let's see. Let those guys overtake. We have a little bit down in situations now, but from 50 in second gear and then go to third. Let's go. That's 100 with a little bit downhill. So you can see, I have to push this one a little bit, but still okay from the performance, And now at 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour, again, still a good noise insulation. So there's not massive amount of rolling tire noise or wind noise. So we also have a good result in this case. And again, it's not really punishing you when you're driving like a long motorway period and so on. And I just returned from the US again, and it's always you drive so much highway hours there, because distances are just longer than, for example, in Europe, especially in Germany. That how a car performs on the motorway is really a very essential point for a lot of customers indeed. Very interesting. So I'll also keep the speed limit here, because in these working zones, traffic fines can always be very high. This bigger screen, by the way, also looks fancy here in our driving moderation, definitely. However, I would probably go just with the What's that? Okay, that's new. Okay, and then not sure why they've used that pane in, sometimes strange situations. So the smaller screen would also do just fine. You can control the Apple CarPlay over that screen, and that's the most important for this vehicle. So again, I think this is also an option you could theoretically leave. Good feeling in the brakes also. No problem about that. This seems to be all with the Passat facelift, since you can see the rear LED lamps there. They are also newly done. 2-liter TDI. We'll stop right there. Different driving situations we had here today with the Kia XCeed, and I have to say, very well done. It's definitely, among the best compact vehicles we had so far. There are some things maybe that, like super expensive, high-class premium vehicles would maybe offer additionally. But what would that be besides double the price? Now let's think about a Mercedes A-Class, okay, where you literally pay double the price than for this one. And the question is, why? If you want a high horsepower version, like a AMG something. Okay, Mercedes does offer this MBUX system with a natural voice input. That is, not being offered here. But the build quality is really good here. And you get like interesting materials. You have like a very attractive seating setup here, also with sustainable materials. So, I mean, why is the A-Class double the price than this one? Besides like brand, image thing and so on. I really can't say. This is here built at a very, very high level. And again, being the X-Ceed, a little bit more expensive than the normal Ceed, but then again, already with a little bit more extra equipment, I think it's still quite a nice price-performance deal. What do you think? And now to our conclusion for today with the Kia X-Ceed. Well, first of all, it's a fresh exterior. This crossover look does work with the Ceed platform, yes, especially in this golden color, something pretty unique. And also from the exterior features, you already see a solid build quality that continues on the interior then, so really very well built. So hardly anything we can really criticize there, and a very straightforward design that is of course very, very cool. That means you can control everything in a very easy and straightforward way, still with a lot of separate buttons. I really like that. Not everything needs to be done in the infotainment system. Optionally, you can go for a lot of infotainment options, but you'll also be fine with the lower spec versions, so to keep the price still lower a little bit. And this is about 5K extra if you compare it to the normal Kia Ceed, but it already comes with more standard equipment. So overall, for example, German price 21 to 34K depending on the equipment and the engine and so on. And I think you can still score a very decent price performance ratio, and to me also one of the best price performance ratios in the compact segment or compact hatch segment overall at the moment. This little bit higher riding, 4 centimeters or 1.5 inches or seating position is, I think, very good, so it gives a little bit more comfort without giving you much less fun in driving or something. So I think it's still a good compromise, and I think this crossover version will also be quite successful. Fuel economy could be a little bit better, suspension maybe also a little bit better. Then again, if you're not into the visuals that much, you could go for 16-inch wheels instead of the 18 one, and then you also have a little softer riding quality. Overall, I think a very, very solid performance here. Pretty liked it. What about you? Tell me your comments here about this vehicle, and also see you next time.